Today's guest Nathan is going to share his experience of a car that was out of time.
My name's Nathan. I currently would say retired, but I'm not retired. I'm refitting a boat that I actually live on. Before retirement, I was a gardener for about 17 years down here in Thanet. I lived in St Nicholas at Wade. I'm a carpenter by trade and a pattern maker. I've had a lot of experiences through my life. Probably from the age of about 4 or 5. Like many people, like most of the people watching, experiences of deja vu, and experiences where it was like deja vu, except I remembered the dream. There are still some dreams that I had that had that same vibrance. It's the only way to describe it. I think they call it lucid, some people, but to me it's like vibrant. It's as real, if not a little bit something extra. A lot of these dreams, you can't sort of decipher them until they actually happen. There's just like, I didn't think it was like that, but now I see how it's happened. Yeah, so there's dreams that may or may not materialise that I could put into that category. There's just so many instances. I'll tell you one. I was working up at Great Portland Street in London. We was doing up a More magazine. That is still going, More magazine. And we was doing a refit. And patterns trigger something. Now in this case, I came back from lunch and I was putting some pegboard up on the wall. And I lifted the pegboard up and straight away, I remembered the dream. It was the dots that actually did it. And I went, whoa. I sat down. At that point, Clive, who I worked for, came in and said, I forget their names, there was a paint and decorators bloke, and his son that used to work was subcontracting for us. And without thinking, because I was deep in remembering the dream, I went, he's been rushed to hospital. Yeah, he's been rushed to hospital. He's been in an accident. That obviously, Clive's going, what do you mean? Well, he was asking me all questions, and I was like, I can't say I had a dream, So I'm like, trying to backtrack and just go, But within 30 seconds, they walked in. And the son had his arm in a sling. And they'd gone to lunch and he'd fallen. And they had to go to the hospital. I just sort of slunk off and sort of got back on with my work. But after about half hour, the father came over and he said, how did you know we were in hospital? Christ said you told us we were in hospital. And I told him, and he was freaked. With dreams, it's a lot of my things have happened, and I was very close with my mum, very close. My mum had her own experiences, so anything like that, I was always told her. And if I had questions or something was bothering me, I'd say, yeah, because she didn't judge me. And from an early age, she explained that she'd had things, when I'd said about these dreams that came true. It was about 2005. I was still up at Dartford. I was in a car with my mum. She was driving. Me and mum were very close. And when I say close, we were friends as well. To the point of me and her would get in a car and go and watch Metallica play at Wembley. We weren't just mum and son, we were friends as well. So we were on our way to a gig that night. I think we were on our way going down to Croydon. And she wasn't with my dad at this point. She was actually got together with a friend of mine. And they were together 30 years. And we was in the car and he was in the back. I get car sick and I'm in the back of the car. So I have to sit in the front. So he hated it. But I was in the front and it was near Bexley Hospital. It's no longer where they have a wing there, but it's all changed. It was a psychiatric hospital. We was coming down the road. It's a long road, wall, and then you've got the gatehouse. And as we were coming down, I remember first off seeing a car. It was just parked up ahead in the road, but at an angle, with the door open. I couldn't tell you what car it was, because it was boxy. Maybe something like an old Vauxhall Viva or something like that on those lines. I'd have to place it in possibly the late 50s, early 60s, but it was brand new. And I mean brand new. I remember seeing the light on its bonnet. You could see it's not been resprayed. It was perfect. It was brand new, like out of a car showroom, and the tyres and all that were just, I like cars and I know cars, so I couldn't really sort of recognise it. It wasn't a Mark II Cortina, because my granddad had one of them, and I know what they look like. It was a bit more thicker set than that. My mum was obviously seeing it, and Phil would sort of, she said, what's, and he's sort of taking notice. But at that point, car lost all power. It was coasting. Because she was going about 50 miles an hour, it literally was still coasting, but all the lights pan out, the engine had gone as we were approaching it. From my perspective, everything didn't go grayscale. It was like suddenly I was in an art noir movie. It wasn't black and white, but the hue had gone out of everything. That's how I can describe it. And it was like a vibe, like you're watching a French noir film, from the 50s. It was like that sort of a vibe. And of course, my mum was actually just panicking at this point because of the car. I remember because she went to indicate, and I said, there's no point in indicating, nothing's working, Mum. But she pulled into the entrance of the hospital, which is like a courtyard entrance. It just goes in, and there's a little tiny roundabout on the inside with a few of the reception buildings. And as she's pulling in, I'm just looking at this car at an angle with the door open, but there was no one around. Of course, she pulled in. That was a little bit weird because the engine wasn't on. Yet it still was moving when you would have thought the actual momentum would have sort of slowed down more rapidly than that. But it was slowing down, but not as rapid as you'd think. And so she went in and she went to go around, and then she stopped the car. And then with instantly, boom, and it started up on its own, and the lights came on. Because my dad's house was not far away, she said, right, let's just get to your dad's, because there's something wrong with the car. So literally, she didn't hardly even stop it. She stopped and it started, and she went off straight away. 15 seconds. Got back to ran to the front entrance there, car's gone. It's a good, I would say 1,000 yards either you can look along this road. And it wasn't there. You'd have seen the car if someone had jumped in literally at that point and got in the car and gone. Even if they'd put their foot to the floor, you'd have seen it, but it was gone. I mean, Mum was a little bit frazzled with it. I actually started smiling because I sort of realised at that point, oh, this is not normal. This is out there. This is something unexplained, if we would put it like that. And as I smiled, I remembered Molly saying about that woman. When I was about 7, we first moved into the house there. There was an incident one day where helicopters were flying around. The general idea that maybe it was a fire, but my neighbour said, someone's actually escaped from the hospital. I was like, oh, does that happen? I mean, Mum saying, oh, does that happen? She said, oh, occasionally it does. She said, it's normally they pick them up within an hour or so. She said, tragically, years ago, I can't remember if she said it was the late 50s or early 60s, but within that time period, someone had got out and a woman had got out and she'd run across the road and a car had hit her. It always has sort of stuck in my mind, was there a connection with the fact that I knew about that incident and whatever's involved latched on to that connection? and that's why it appeared. But who knows? I've obviously looked at things to try and explain things that happened to me, and you'd think that maybe this was a time slip experience, but I'm not sure if it was or wasn't. I don't think I went to another time. I think it was a pinching effect. My mum talked about it afterwards, and my mum didn't like things like that. She'd get the heebie-jeebies and stuff like that. Phil, he acknowledges it. He acknowledged it then, and he still acknowledges it now. You know, he knows it happened. But this is why I'm happy that, because it's not just me that it happened to. I've had lots of things happen to me, but I'm a scientific brain, and that's what happened to me. I don't expect people to. I know that people can't sort of take this at face value, and I understand, I totally understand. But this incident, I can say, nah, I wasn't on my own. And for people that have had these experiences, it's great to hear of cases where it's, yeah, look, but it wasn't just that guy. So whatever it was happened. They experienced it exactly as I experienced it. My mum did concur that she felt like, to her, it felt like the air had been sucked out. That was, I felt that vibrance with a sort of hue tone. Not the vibrance, but the hueish tone and that vibe. But she felt it, to her, it felt like the air had been sucked out of everything. Everything was still. Everything was beyond still. But as I say, she didn't like to talk to me about it much. With my mum, by the fact that actually she doesn't want to talk about it, something weird happened. That's the gauge with her, because she was just. I mean, I've never experienced ghosts or anything like that. That's not something I can testify. Not that I know of, anyway. If it did it straight over me. But I don't discount or boo-hoo anything. When someone's had experiences, just because it's not the experience you've had, there's a different genre of the paranormal that happens to people. I think 99.9% of people, if not 100% of people, have these experiences. 20 to 30% don't even notice, don't even make that correlation, for many different reasons. And I think another 40%, at least, are like my mum. Oh, don't talk about it. Push it aside. But I'm not like that.